Okay, so this is a distinction task for Year 9 engineers. You're going to open up Sketchup, start all programs, academy programs, Sketchup 2014. You're going to choose template. You're going to scroll down, we'll go up at the top to start with, so scroll down, click woodwork in millimeters and then start using Sketchup. If the instructor comes up on the right hand side, just press the X, close it down and then drag using the top bar all the way over to the right hand side, so we snap it to half the screen and then we can see half of the drawing and half of the drawing that we're doing. So I can see the origin where all the points meet, 0, 0, 0. Click on pan, drag it over, and I'm going to click on circle by clicking on the down arrow and then circle. And then if we look over at the drawing, I'm going to start off with this radius here, and I'm going to draw the radius around it, and then we'll do the little legs that come off, and then we'll close them and create a horseshoe. So start in the origin and we come out in either the red or the green direction. So we're going to choose the red, 7.5, enter. And I can see that that is absolutely tiny. So all I'm going to do is use the wheel on the mouse. I'm going to put the pointer on top of the drawing that I want to zoom in on. And that means that's the direction that it will zoom in on. Okay, I'm just going to zoom out a bit actually. Click on the centre again, which is the origin, and click and drag out in the same coloured direction. And this one is 17.5. So 17.5 enter, and I've got that dimension from over here. The first one was here. Right click in the centre to erase, and then I'm going to use the line tool. I'm just going to click and draw out to the edge, click and draw out to that edge, and then just use the eraser tool by clicking on it or pressing E, the shortcut. Ooh. Just have a look. It should. There we go. Erase. And then from this point here, we're going to come down 15 using that dimension. So in the green, 15, enter. And I might actually just come across. It tells me here already that it's 10, but I can cheat by coming across, and we can see a little green line appear, and then another dot up there, and that tells you that it's lining up with that point. So I can click and then go up in the green, click again, or if you want to just do it using numbers, click and drag in the blue, 15, enter, come across in the red, 10, enter, then come back up in the green, 15, enter. And then we can use the erase tool to get rid of them two lines, and then lift it up. Okay, that was the push-pull tool. So click the push-pull, click on the surface, drag it upwards, and the height on the drawing is 20. So I'm just going to drag it upwards, type in 20, enter, and then we've got our horseshoe. So the next stage will be, or could be, drawing this line and then drawing this line. And you can see here that we've got a dimension of 5, we've got a dimension of 10, and we know the whole height of this is 20, so if we add 10 and 5 together we've got 15, which means that that bottom piece, even though it's not got a dimension on, that's also got to be 5. So if I click, just be able to zoom in a little bit so you can see right on the edge of the line. So I'm clicking on this line here, turning it blue, and then I'm going to press Control and hold it on the keyboard, and you get a little plus sign next to the arrow. So plus, swing round, so I'm pressing the middle of the mouse, the wheel in, and dragging, letting go, drag, let go. And I press Control again, click on this last line. So basically highlighted on the bottom, this line that goes around the outside. I'm going to use the move. Rather than just move the line, I want to create a copy. If you see down at the bottom, if this was a bit wider, it would say CTRL or Control equals copy. So if I press Control once and let go, you can see a plus. So that means when I click on a point, so right in the corner, and drag up, you get a duplicate or a copy. Type 5, enter, and then I'm going to press Control to copy again, drag upwards, and I'm going to type 10, enter, and then we've got our 2 lines. So we're going to stop using this bit now, we're going to start concentrating on the bit at the back. So the only way we can find out where this bit at the back is relative to the bit at the front is this set of dimensions here. The centre of this horseshoe, where the radiuses are, to the centre of this circle over here is 75, and we know the dimensions in millimetres down there in case you're not coming with that. So I'll click on the line tool, click on the origin, because we know that's the centre of our radius. Zoom out so you've got a nice view. Go up, I've chose about 125, but we just want to aim to be much higher than the height of this. So you need to be higher than 50 millimetres. I'm going up, I'm going to click and then drag across the green, so over to the right, type 75, enter. I'm going to come down in the blue, just change the view slightly. What I'm going to do is, now I'm in the blue, I'm going to press and hold shift, and you can see if I turn this on and off, that the line goes from a dark blue to a fine blue, or a thick blue line to a thin blue line. That means that I can move my mouse over and it won't change the direction of the line, so it locks it. I can come over and just touch the bottom, and that means that the line will stop perfectly in line with the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to go back upwards 50, because that is the height of this piece here. So I'm going to go back in the blue direction upwards, type 50, enter. I'm going to move the mouse down, and you can see there's a point where it turns green. So it's split this line into 2. And just to double check that that is 50 millimetres high, come back down to the bottom and you can see the length there, 50.0 millimetres. So now I can just erase that line off, and I'm going to use that line to create this vertical section. So circle tool, I want to look from the top down. I'm going to come out in the red again, because that's what I did earlier. You could go in the red or the green, no, it doesn't matter. And the first radius is 12.5. So 12.5, enter. And the second radius is 22.5. Okay. So 22.5, enter. And then the top of this line, I'm just going to come out. See why in a second. So right click on here and erase. Push pull. Lift it up. And then touch on anywhere on this line. Sometimes if you just have one vertical line, it doesn't like to snap. If you've got a horizontal one, it will. So that's why I put that in. And you can just erase it back out and it doesn't get lost in there. The next thing is to repeat what we did over here. So I'm going to select the base of the circle, move, or M on the keyboard, Control to toggle copy. I'm going to drag it up in the blue, 5, enter, and then Control again, click, drag up in the blue, 10, enter. Okay, next step, line tool again, click and drag out in the red till you get to the edge, and then click and drag down till you get to the second of the 2 rings that you just created. And then and then we're going to orbit round and repeat. So out in the red to the edge, and then down in the blue to the second ring. And now you should be able to see very quickly we can create this section here that links the two together. If we just go from that point there to that point there, and press escape to get rid of this line. That point there to there. And once you swing around and do this other side, after a lot of preparation, you can now see it coming together really quickly. Okay. The next step is to create this slot in the back. If we look at the dimension over here, we can see that it's 5mm wide. From the centre, it'd be 2.5 one way, 2.5 the other way. If I just move around, zoom in a bit, we're going to come on the end point, down a little bit, it's not important the length, click and then come left, 2.5, enter, and then we're going to go back in the same direction and type 5, enter. And from that edge back to the centre we can double check it should be 2.5. And from here we just come in the green all the way to the edge. Click. From here all the way to the edge. Click. And then if we get the erase tool, erase them. Push pull, click and drag down. So as well as lifting an object up to create an object, pulling it up, you can also push it down and erase part of an object. So part 2, these lines here, because they are part of this object, if we were just to erase it to tidy it up, it actually opens up. You can see all the way through, which we obviously don't want to do. So if I just Control Z to undo, the only way to get rid of these is to right click on top of it and go to hide. And here again, right click and hide. Okay, zoom back out again. So, final part is this little piece on the back. Now, you could probably look for a while and try and find out where this whole piece sits along this, or up and down on this 50mm piece here, and you won't find a dimension. But if you consider what it is, it's essentially a clamp. Okay, so if it's a clamp, the only thing we can assume is that the clamp is going to be halfway up. So that's what makes logical sense. If we had the opportunity, we would talk to whoever made it, but as we don't, we're going to make the assumption that it's in the middle. We will make it as a group. Because we've made it as a group, if it did need to go up and down, somebody complained, then it would just be a matter of clicking it and dragging it up and down. Quite easy to do. So, just to catch up here, I'm just going to get rid of them again. Okay. So from this point here, we need to go back 35 and down, and that will be the centre of this circle and this radius. Okay. So from here, back in the green, 35 enter, and I'm going to come down. Again, I'm going to lock it by pressing shift. I'm going to come down until I get the blue, light blue midpoint. Just be able to zoom in on that so you can see it. As I come down this edge, I'll zoom in a bit more. To come down this edge, it'll go from a red square to a light blue circle. Click, and I can let go. Side view. Before I do anything else, I'm going to triple click. So that's 1, 2, 3. Really quickly. If you just do it slowly, or too slow, you might find that it doesn't select it. You need to do it quite quickly. So I'm going to right click and make a group. So that means I'm drawing on top of the object, not editing the object. Right, circle tool. I'm going to assume if you've got to this point you're doing well, so speed up a little bit. Click and drag out. The first one is diameter 16, so radius 8, 8 enter. Click on the centre and come out, radius 15, so 15 enter. Circles the hole, so I'm going to right click, erase, select tool, right click on here, reverse face, so I've got the white edge and the darker blue edge on the back. And then I'm going to get rid of this construction line, and that construction line, just by selecting and pressing enter. And then I'm going to triple click this, press the move. We need to move this left until it touches the face. You need to make sure that you're going in the red or the green, whichever way you decide to do the drawing. If it moves slightly, it's going to be too far forward or back, and it'll mess the whole thing up. So make sure it's in the red. You can start going in the red, press your shift and lock it, and that should prevent it moving forwards or backwards. So, we zoom in, and at the intersection there, come straight down, and then delete that. Which is actually kind of irrelevant, because what we're going to do next is click on the line tool, and on the centre line, we're just going to come straight across. Same at the bottom. So that's, just check it's on the centre, come across, touch that edge, and come straight up. Press the erase, get rid of them. And then if we look on here, we can see that from this edge to this edge is 15. So it's 15 millimetres thick. 13, sorry. So click on the edge, drag it out, 13, enter. And we've got what looks like the start of the clamp, but you can see a big gap down the side. It's probably the most difficult part of the drawing. What you need to do is click on View, Hidden Geometry, so we can start seeing these lines before. These are the ones that we're constructing this object, so if we deleted them, it deleted part of it. We're going to actually use it to our advantage now. We're going to start on the corner and come across in the green until we touch. And then the next bit is to hover on this line, come across. And what that was is a parallel line with this line here. And the way you initiate it is just by hovering on the line you want to be parallel with. And it knows what to do. Okay, and then back to that point there. And then from this point we're going to come down, lock it and across. And we could do it again, or if I just Control Z to undo that, we can cheat. Highlight this section here so it's selected, M for move, Control for copy, click and drag down, and I'm going to drop it on that point, the end point, and then use the line tool just to join these two bits up, and then use my erase to get rid of them. Right click, reverse face. Right, the next bit, I'm going to triple click, make it a group, and again I'm going to cheat. So M for move, Control for copy, and I'm going to click anywhere on here and just drag it in the red over there. I'm going to right click on top of the object, flip along, groups red. If you flip it and it does it the wrong way, just edit undo and flip it on the other axis. So what we're aiming for is just to come back, across in the red until it snaps to the end. Okay? It should snap on the end. This button that you can't actually see, if I drag this over, this zoom extents button, you click it, it'll put the whole drawing into the screen. So it's like a full screen type thing. Get rid of my construction lines. I'm going to turn off the hidden geometry. And just to make that consistent, I'm going to hide that line, hide that line. I'm going to make sure I go right round the object to make sure I've not missed anything off or left any gaps open. Okay, final bit, this section here, a little triangle. Because of the way Sketchup works, we've got straight lines that make up a circle, which makes adding this piece in a little bit more tricky. So the solution we're going to use is creating the centre line up the middle. Okay. If you're not sure how to put that in, like I've just done, if you hover over one line and move to another point, and then move to the middle, in the rough area it'll come up as a dark blue, and you can come across and then you can come down the face. And run this line across, then you need to come out. The whole width is 10mm, so we come 5 this way, 10 back that way, so that's a 5 plus 5. I'm going to press escape, come back this way. I'm going to come out 5 that way, 10 that way. I'm going to go back in the green till I touch that. Come over, back in the green. Zooming out. I have to zoom back in again actually. Click and drag up to this face, and I can just double click on that one, it'll remember how high I wanted it. And while I remember, I'm going to get rid of these. Flick back around to the other side, same again. Back in the green, back in the green, push pull, lift it up, line tool, join that bit together, top edge, to there, this edge, to there, and just a matter of going in and erasing these extra lines. Zoom extents, right click to close the group, we're finished.